Today I will be talking to Sven Eisenhut. Sven is the founding director of PHOTO Basel, one of the most respected international art fairs dedicated to fine art photography. Enjoy. Sven, welcome to the Frames Photography Podcast. It's an honor, it's a pleasure to have you here with us. How are you doing this morning? You're in Basel, right?
Yes, I'm based in Basel. Already had a great meeting with the partner, so I'm excited for this conversation.
Wonderful. So we are here to talk about PHOTO Basel, which, I was just looking through your website as well, about the official descriptions and so on. So PHOTO Basel is Switzerland's first and only international art fair dedicated to photography-based art. So I'm obviously very, very excited, elevated to talk about this, we at Frames, into serious, fine art photography and so on.
Yes.
You created an event. You are about to launch is it the 8th edition? Is it correct?
Yes, it's the 8th edition, exactly.
In June, 13 June this year, 23 in Basel. So it's the 8th year of this event.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit more about what PHOTO Basel is and how it started. Was it your idea? Where are the origins?
Well, it is still Switzerland's first and only art fair dedicated to photography-based art. If I'm not mistaken, it's even the only one in the German-speaking world. So to my knowledge, there is nothing that compares, not even in Germany, which is quite interesting because it has a huge market as well, and also not in Austria. So we're kind of in solitude. We have started back in 2014. It was a couple of friends, to be honest, coming from all sides, from the events, from my background is hospitality. And we gathered together because when you grow up in Basel, it's a great city. It's the third largest city of Switzerland. So it's a great city. And we are known for the zoo. We're known for, a football club, the FC Basel, but we're also known for Art Basel. So when you grow up in Switzerland, in Basel, your parents, they drag you every single June. You have to go to Art Basel. At a very young age, you don't even know what it is. You realize it's some sort of a museum, but it's fancier, So when you are a teenager, it really becomes a highlight of your annual calendar because of the parties, because of everything, So when back in 2014, we put the heads together and we said, look, what's missing in Basel? And we realized that during Art Basel, there is something missing, and it's photography, because we've compared with Paris Photo. They have side events. They had even small fairs on the side. So, we did some research and then we launched the idea late 2014 with the goal to have our first fair in June 2015.
Okay, so let's rewind to back to that year. Now, you said you brainstormed, with a couple of friends. Whose background, whose passion was into photography mainly? Was it you? Did you have some connections?
Listen, looking back, I did. Foremost, it was my co-founder Samuel, who was in the art industry and also in the fair industry, and he was a photographer, but literally just a documentary photographer. So he had this passion. Looking back on my path, to be quite honest, my father, who passed away 20 years ago already, he was, and that's just something that I realized, he was a very passionate photographer. So I also grew up not only with fine art prints at home, but I grew up with lots of art because my godfather is an artist. So, and my father was he studied art. So basically, I was able to connect the dots afterwards, but it was not my primary focus was and is the hospitality aspect, the creation of the event, of the fair itself. So for the knowledge, of course, at the beginning we worked and still working with curators. That's very, very very obvious.
Back in those days when you were growing up, were you touching a camera at all yourself? Were you in any way interested in photography?
I mean, I'm of course interested, as I think a lot of people are, because we have this trained eye already. But to be quite honest, the only photo, the only technical aperture I own is this phone, which has 108 megapixel. But to be quite honest, no, I'm not from. I do not come from this angle, which has pros and cons. I think one of the pros is, even now, I'd never touch a camera again, because I'm surrounded by those incredible artists. So I'm so, they're so devoted. So I literally, the more I know about it, the more I understand it, the less I'll touch a camera, for sure.
Okay, so this is really fascinating. So basically you created a perfect circle. You are coming from the hospitality background, your friend from art, you combined, built a small team. How were the first reactions in Basel, in Switzerland, to the actual idea? So Art Basel was going on. I can imagine you talked to them in some way,
I mean, exactly. So to be quite honest, a lot of the feedback was, you guys are crazy. Like, that's what we heard a lot. You guys are crazy. This market is so high caliber. Art Basel is such a behemoth. It's such a wonderful fair, but it's so big, so powerful. And I vividly remember that we did actually introduce ourselves even to Art Basel, just to say, like, look, we're the new kids. We don't want to do any guerrilla actions in front of Art Basel. We'd never do that, because we respect and love it to this day so much. But we talked with different art fairs. We talked with Liste, for example. We talked with Volta. And these guys were quite encouraging. They said, look, good luck with it. If you have any questions, we're here for you guys. Obviously, we're like frenemies, we realized we're frenemies. And I think they realized very soon that we were serious also about quality. And that's at the cornerstone of everything we do, is quality, because otherwise you will not survive. So I think from that point of view, it was interesting, and we had nothing to lose, and a lot to gain. And we called up the gallerists, and obviously when they heard Basel, they're like, okay, well, that's, it's like Venice, the Biennale, it's like Kassel, the Documenta. Basel is the art fair,
It's definitely a good word to have in the title of the event.
Yeah. That's what we realized later on, right?
Yeah, now, 8 years in, where do I understand it correctly? Photo Basel and Art Basel, even if there is some kind of a collaboration, or maybe, some kind of conversation going on, there are two separate entities. Is it correct?
For sure, 100%. We are 100% independent, so we're owned independently. We have no ties to any other art fair, and also not to Art Basel. But of course, we always, speak with all sorts of art fairs, positions in Berlin that invited us back in 2020 when everything else was cancelled. So we tried to keep a friendly collaboration with our I wouldn't even call them competitors, but with our industry veterans.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful approach. I think let's talk a little bit about the event, itself, so that we understand. So it's a commercial event in a way. It's a
highly commercial event, Thomas. It's a highly commercial event.
What's the idea? So what is being presented? What are the visitors? What can the visitors expect? What can they do? What can artists expect? What can artists do? What's the core of the entire idea?
Yeah. So the core is literally to create a classic art fair, meaning we rent out booths to galleries only. So we do not allow, like the big art fairs, we do not allow individual artists with no gallery representation to join. It's solely for galleries for various reasons. And so, for example, we have each year roughly 40 international exhibitors / gallerists and also publishers that come to the fair and show, sometimes solo shows, sometimes trio shows, some sort of their artistic rosters at the fair. So, and what's special at the fair is it's a very long fair. So we start on Monday until Sunday. So if you look at other fairs, usually they're shorter, but that has different reasons. So for, I would say, the first 3 days, it's a very, it's a fair that is targeted towards collectors and curators and institutional people, because normally on a Tuesday afternoon, the average people, they cannot take off, they work. right? So this is targeted to a very professional circle. However, and because photography is so approachable, we turn into a fair for the general public as well. They're always welcome, even on Tuesday and Wednesday, but usually towards the end of the week, the general public, the regional also general public, they join us, they come to the fair because, and that differentiates us from other art fairs, photography, fine art photography, because of our, epoch that we're living, because we all have, smartphones, we all get a sense of what photography is and what it means for us personally. So it becomes mainstream, which is something that we like. So we want to have a general public to stroll through the fair. Usually they understand that it's commercial, that they can buy everything, right? But it's not necessarily, it can also be understood as like a museum, because that's what it is. That's our goal, is to have a very high quality and a museum quality, right? So, and that's the beauty of it. People can buy it, and the range of fine art photography is in between 3,000 to 4,000 Swiss francs, which is equal to the euro and the dollar, up to 8,000-9,000. That's the average. Of course, it goes up. You can buy prints at Photo Basel for 30,000-40,000 Swiss francs, dollars, euros. But if you're lucky, you find also maybe a higher edition print that is maybe within a publisher with a book for a few hundred euros. Yeah. And that's, so we have the whole spectrum. So even young people, students can come in, they buy something. That makes us special and also interesting for a vast majority of people.
Okay, so you have like kind of two groups of audience, right? The specialized collectors, really fine art specialists, and so on. And you have general public, maybe simply enjoying photography, or maybe maybe getting into it and possibly becoming, future and so on.
Exactly. Yeah.
How would you? So you have, first-hand, insights into this industry. How would you describe today's, condition of this market? Who are the people? Who are mainly the people who buy photographs? Is it people like, I am a photographer editor. I'm not a typical, how many of ordinary, by ordinary, I don't mean negative.
General public.
Who is buying the photographs these days? Who is your potential customer?
So what's interesting is the art world collector and the fine art photography collector, they overlap, but they're not completely equal. They overlap a little bit only. So of course it's the collectors, the art collectors in general, the fine art photography collectors. And if you speak about the general audience, and that's where it becomes really interesting. It can be literally anyone. We have seen students literally kind of leasing. They fall in love with the work for 6,000 euros, which is a lot of money, and they lease it from the galleries because they fall in love with it. So basically, it can be everybody, and that's also why we're super open for everybody. And it sounds interesting, but I always take my family a bit into the broader spectrum because they come from they manage restaurants and cafes, so they come from a different background. So when I invite these guys to come, usually I give them, or Elvira even, gives them a great tour. And then if you walk around with a guide for 45 minutes or an hour, you really start to understand pieces and bits, and then it becomes really emotional. And then it just clicks, and people just fall in love with the particular artist, with the particular body of work. And then they ask for the price, and as I said, for Swiss standards, it is more than affordable, So you have to have 3 walls. What are you going to put on them? You're not going to go to IKEA and buy a poster. That's not what you do, right? So that's the awareness. That's the awareness that we try to educate people also on the subject of fine art photography. And as you mentioned, I think that's the great asset. It can be a starting art world drug. You know, it's like a drug. You become
oh yeah, but don't tell me about it. Yeah.
you become fixed, and this is a great starting point for, you know, be it a collector or not. And we also make a distinction of buyers and collectors, and sometimes we get people of all age groups. They start to buy, you know, because they're, I don't know, they're lawyers, they have a practice, they have an office, they like something, they buy it, and then they come back and maybe they bring their wives, and then they start buying another piece, and maybe some of them will become collectors.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm really looking forward being there myself, you know, in June. I have the privilege of being, you know, 80 kilometers away, right? So
Perfect.
So one question that kind of naturally pops into my mind, you know, so today the photography scene is kind of, you know, expanding, changing. We have NFTs, we have things like this, right? What would you say, is a photograph, a printed piece of art, photographic art, is it a good investment these days?
Well, I always, as an entrepreneur that I'm still am, you know, I think you can spend your money worse than buying photography. First, if you like it and you live with it, it makes you happy every day. It's like having a nice watch. It's something you live with, and that's interesting. I always encourage people to buy it with their eyes and their heart and not with their ears. So if you see an auction result of a photographer and you think, oh, that's interesting because, you know, it's a good price, but you don't like it, you have to like it. I think, as I said, they can be, and they are definitely worser acquisitions than art. So I think I wouldn't solely go with this perspective of saying I want to invest in it because I want money back. You can do it. You know, there are a couple of blue chip photographers on a global scale that will definitely increase their value, but that would not be my primary action to buy it. I wouldn't recommend to go out and just buy it solely because you wanna increase it in value.
So it's basically mainly a marketplace, a fair, where you solely go into the idea of just buying a piece you love, and living
rather. And live with it, live with it. I mean, we know collectors, they have so many pieces and not enough houses or walls to hang them. Of course, that's a nice, it's a nice side effect. You can still build a collection. And I think that's fantastic, But foremost, I think you should buy it because you want to live with it, because it makes you happy, right? That should be your main motivation.
Yeah. Are all the photographs, all the prints available for purchase?
Yes.
Are all of them physically present there at the fair?
Yes. I think we did even the very, very first solely virtual photography fair in 2020 with a great partner, Kunstmatrix from Berlin. And it was incredible. It really saved us also morally when everything else was locked down. Even to this day, we make 360 degrees walkthroughs of the fair with videos that people can walk through. You can, of course, buy stuff online. I personally, my team and I, we believe it's great to go out there and see it physically, tangible. It's just not the same buying a watch where a bit of the size of that feeling. With an art piece, it's different. It's different. I think fairs really play a crucial role with the first contact. So once you come to a fair or a gallery, you get to know the gallerists, right? You start this conversation, the dialogue. You start this process of trust, right? And once you buy from them, I think it's great if you see a newsletter half a year later by the artist that you like, you can buy online because you know them, right? But I think that's the experience that we've realized. It's the event, it's the community that comes together on various occasions. They meet and greet, and that's something that we uphold as well. And that's why an art fair, never, to my extent, never gets out of fashion.
No. Are you observing any kind of trends? You mentioned students before. When it comes to young audience, young public, what are you seeing there? Fine art photography, in terms of young people getting interested in it, and joining this scene.
Yes. So basically, I think it's really two factors. First is we're the Instagram generation, so our knowledge of and perception of photos is trained daily on a daily basis, and that's something I've read an interesting quote. Our grandparents did see from the moment we get up in the morning until we have a lunch break, we see more photographs than our grandparents did their entire lifespan. That's insane, right? That's insane. So obviously, even pupils and students in school, they debating, at least in Switzerland, if they should get some image kind of related classes so they understand the images better. So I think this is a very so the first point is this is a community, an age group that is very, very much aware of visuals. In addition, because it's somewhat affordable, also it becomes highly interesting for this generation to start a dialogue, to follow an artist over Instagram, for example, and then to start collecting or buying from it.
Yeah,
that's something we realized, and also the books play a crucial role. Books, and we've seen that during the pandemic, they're so on the rise. So you buy an artist's book, maybe it has even a print on it because the edition is 150 pieces. You get it for 300-400 euros, and that can be your first print. It's signed, it's limited. Next year you come to the fair again, you see something that costs $1,200. You like it, you buy it. That's how you get in touch with it, right?
Yeah, so I guess probably you are also experiencing. I am with the magazine, very often. I mean, often on a regular basis. There's those aha moments where you talk to a young person, who is on Instagram, on on Flickr, whatever it might be these days.
Yeah.
And suddenly you give them a printed photograph in their hands.
Yeah.
And it's a print of their own image. They go down insane.
Yeah.
Young people don't know it. They love it. So I think it is our role also in this entire world to kind of
absolutely
keep introducing them into it.
Yes. Educate them, advocate them, and even that's what we do a lot of guided tours, because we try to explain also to complete newcomers. We say, look, this is a limited edition print, so you have exactly and only 5 of the size with this signature, and that's it. That's so they understand it, so they're saying, okay, that makes it valuable. Okay, and here it's even the last is a 5 out of 5 print. That's why it's even more expensive. So then they see, oh wow, that's interesting. So they understand the nature of it, and I think the younger generation, they're easier to pick that up. But honestly, in Basel, we never experience any problems. So here, nobody walks in and they're like, okay, so is it only the artists? What is it? They understand it because they grew up with. They know it's Art Basel Week, so they understand what an art fair is versus a festival, right? Yeah.
What are your main groups, of visitors in terms of, geography? Well, it's okay, Swiss people, Europe, who is coming?
It because of the momentum of Art Basel, it's a very, very global audience. It's a very, very global audience. Big collectors are coming in early in the week, and then, of course, I would say maybe it becomes more by the end of the week. It can become a bit more more national than international. But for us, that's a great thing. That's the beauty. We don't make a distinction. We try to treat everybody the same way, because a lot of the people that come on Monday night for the vernissage, for the VIP opening, they see a few works they like. They come back maybe on Wednesday with their partner, and then on the weekend they buy it, because they need this process to think about it. So I really think it's throughout all generations, and we make this experience that we have, a very, very wide range of an audience.
So you are putting the little red dots on the walls?
Well, we do not encourage galleries to do it because we just don't think it looks nice. But this is the freedom and liberty of every gallerist. They can do that. Sometimes we have even unique works, which is an interesting trend in photography. We have unique works. They stitch over it, they paint over it. And of course, if something gets sold, sometimes the gallerists, they hang it, they give it straight away to the collector, to the buyer. They take it away, they rehang it, so they have some spare works.
Tell me, just let's talk about this year's edition, the last thing, a couple of, gallery names, or maybe, the exhibitor that you are not happy about, or, very...
Yeah, well, no, that wouldn't be fair. I cannot say that I'm happy. I'm happy that the vast majority are regular galleries, and they're coming, they're returning, So it's Galerie Springer from Berlin, they're long-time regulars. That's fantastic. Bildhalle is coming back from Zurich. Esther Verdehoff from Paris. She's a long-standing gallerist. She comes back. This is fantastic. But it's also very international. We have a very young gallery from Istanbul, Versus Art Projects coming from Istanbul. We have even a gallery coming from Houston, Texas, showing a solo of an artist that is now shown at the MoMA at this time. So this is incredible. So we see ourselves like a big family, where the family members come back each June. Those are, and again, it wouldn't be fair to pick a highlight. I think what's interesting this year is we have 3 special exhibitions, which we always love to do it, but because space is so scarce, that there's not a lot of space, so we always have to be really limited. So I think it's wonderful that we have 3 special exhibitions. One is Alex Kaiser, which was a Basler, original Basel photographer living in New York, working a lot with Andy Warhol, for example. So that's really interesting. We also have an exhibition around Cunningham, Ansel Adams. So the West Coast superstars, from the last century, which I'm super proud to have them. And there is a Instagram phenomena, Chantal Convertini, who is an artist that we show, that we put a focus on her. So those are things that, in addition of having the fair, we're very proud to show a selected, curated solo exhibition, special exhibition.
Wonderful. Everything sounds so exciting. I'm looking forward to being there, So Photo Basel, June 13th, 18th, right?
Exactly.
In Basel. Sven, yes. All the very best with this year's edition.
Thanks.
And we will be, covering everything what's happening on France, on our platform. So I'm
very happy to partner up with you guys.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Very happy to connect. All the best. We stay in touch.
We do. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.